Hi there, my name is Jennifer and I am a triple negative breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with breast cancer on October 2nd, 2024. And since then I have done full 6 months of chemotherapy following the Keynote 522 protocol. So I did 12 weeks of carboplatin and Taxol, and then I did 12 weeks of AC, otherwise commonly known as the Red Devil. I finished that 2 weeks ago, and I'm gearing up for my double mastectomy in 20 days. That I'll be doing in Boston at the Dana-Farber clinic. I currently live in the Cayman Islands, so I went through this process here in the Cayman Islands, and the surgery will be in the States. This video is basically to help guide someone, or not help guide, but just give someone a little snapshot into what my journey was with breast cancer, and the things that I found helpful. I hope to create some videos while I'm leading up to the double mastectomy and also after, because I've looked on YouTube to try and find videos to see exactly what it's going to be like and see people's different stories, and there's not a lot out there, so I thought I could probably help someone else by sharing my story with them. Just to give you a background of my experience thus far with breast cancer is I had found a lump in September 2024 on I think the 19th. I was very fortunate. I emailed my doctor. I was able to get in the next day, and she had a look at it and said, yeah, I'm not happy with it either. Let's do an ultrasound. So then the next day I was able to get in to get an ultrasound. And the ultrasound came back and it said it was a BRAD3. And the radiologist said that means review in 6 months. Thankfully, my GP and myself, we weren't happy with that. I said, if it's nothing, then I just want it cut out, because it was a solid mass. It was about 2 centimeters and it felt like bigger than a grape, a big solid mass in my left breast. And thankfully I was able to get in to see a breast surgeon about a week later, which was a long week to wait for that appointment. From there she said, yeah, I'm not really happy with this, let's do a biopsy. So she did a biopsy on that, and she also did a biopsy on my lymph node at the same time, just because she was concerned of something she saw there. I would say about 1 week later, I was called into the office and I was told that I had triple negative breast cancer, which I had never even heard of before. During that visit, I brought one of my best friends, because I knew that if it was something I didn't want to hear, I probably needed someone else to digest the news, because I would be in shock. And I was in shock. I don't remember anything that was said from that meeting apart from the word unfortunately, and this is the worst type of breast cancer that you can have. From there I went into turbo mode. Within 24 hours I was meeting with the oncologist, less than 24 hours, the next day at 10 a.m. and it was a weird situation. I had to shop around between the different oncologists that are available on the island here, and I decided to go with Health City, which is a hospital here in the Cayman Islands. They had a really nice, I was impressed with the oncologist's knowledge and her willingness to do lots of psychoeducation with me and teach me about everything that was going to be happening and what type of cancer I had. That helped me digest the news better and helped me feel a bit more in control of the situation. But I definitely was in shock for a good month or two before I let myself digest the news fully. Yeah, it was a lot to process. From there, I had to navigate the insurance company and trying to make sure that I would have coverage. As I was told, I was going to be doing the Keynote 522, and I would need to do 24 weeks of chemotherapy, and then I would need to have surgery, and depending on how everything went, I would have to have radiation after. So I was very anxious about, okay, how is this all going to work with my insurance? So it took about a week for insurance to come back and confirm, which was a really long time in that span, because I just wanted to get started. I wanted to get started, and I wanted to put this all behind me. And so on October 21st, I had my first chemo session. I was pretty anxious about it. And I started cold capping with the Paxman system. I was just anxious about everything, to be honest, but that seemed like a daunting thing. But there's volunteers from the Breast Cancer Foundation here that really were so kind, and like angels, of just trying to talk me through it, and just really nurturing through the process. The cold capping was hard, but I think I was just so, in a way, excited to just get it done, because I had been kind of waiting patiently for that week to get it done. So I was like, okay, let's get it done. Let's check this off. So I did the cold capping each session, and I also did the freezing of my hands and feet each session, for the Taxol and carboplatin. And that seemed to help. So I didn't have any neuropathy in my hands or legs. And thus far, my hair, I've lost, I would say, about 40% of my hair. But it's kind of sporadic. It's not in any specific spots, which is really nice. I think if anyone saw me, they wouldn't probably notice that I've lost my hair, but I see it when I kind of grab my hands and pull the hair out. There's some there. And when I'm brushing my hair, which I don't actually do, and I can go into more detail about all the steps I took with the Paxman system and with the cold capping to try and preserve my hair as much as possible. I was pretty diligent and treated my hair like baby hair, and yeah, was very gentle with my hair through the whole process. And I think that helped with keeping most of it through those 24 weeks. We'll see how the next few weeks go, because I know that I'll continue to shed for another month, from what I've read. But knock on wood, everything's gone smoothly with that. Now I say it's gone smoothly, it was not an easy journey, and definitely near the end, the cold capping was really hard. One thing that was very helpful that I think I saw on a YouTube or maybe an Instagram page is someone used, suggested taking an Ativan to help calm them down and to help them sleep through the cold capping process, and that I highly recommend. The way that I did my chemo is I got in there, I had a little snack, I had some water or tea, I took an Ativan, and I slept through the whole chemo treatment, because I was there for about, some days, 4 to 6 hours, and I did it every Monday. The reason I did it every Monday is so that I could rest during the week, and then on the weekends, I have a young son who's 8 years old and very active. I thought, okay, I'll be the most available on the weekends. But it didn't really work out that way for me, because I was given a lot of steroids, especially in the beginning. So my first few days after chemo, I was just riding the steroid energy, and I had lots of energy and was feeling great. But by the weekend, those steroids had kind of tapered off. And so it was actually on the weekends that I felt the worst. So it's good to think about those things as you plan, if you have the option of choosing which day you're going to be doing your chemo, thinking about that and planning your week around that. Sorry, I had to pause there. My little doggy was barking. So as I was saying, I had an allergic reaction in the beginning. They were able to manage it with steroids. So I was on a lot of steroids in the beginning, and then it slowly tapered off. So at the 5-month mark, I tapered off completely. So the last month I didn't have steroids, which was good, because I loved the impact of steroids because it made me feel not like my joints didn't feel so bad. I didn't feel so crappy. But I definitely gained weight and I had like the moon face from the steroids. And so I was happy to have those off. And I was told from Dana-Farber that the surgeons and whatnot would want to have me off of that at least a month before the surgery, or as soon as possible, so it doesn't interfere with the surgery. So that was, yeah, that was my journey with the allergic reaction and managing with steroids. Through my chemo chapter, I did get the flu in January, and that was terrible. That was the sickest I've ever been in my entire life. And it really reminded me that I can't take it for granted that my white blood count and my body and my immune system is low. I need to be really careful with the germs that are around me, and yeah, and just try and take care of my body as best as I can, because there was no way I could be sick like that again. It was really, really rough. I didn't get the flu shot before I started chemo, but I would suggest if someone's considering starting chemo to talk to your doctor about whether you should get the flu shot before you start chemo, because that might help you avoid getting the flu of that season. The journey has been hard. The Red Devil is no joke. It really wiped me out. If anyone has ever been hungover, that's kind of how it felt for 3 months, the 3 months of taking it. It impacted my appetite, so I kind of felt like I had like a cotton mouth, like nothing really felt good to eat. I would have at some points the things that like made me feel satiated and felt nice were I ate lots and lots of berries and cereal. That was kind of a period where I could only have that. Then I was quite nauseous for near the end, so I was just eating saltine crackers, and smells were really, really bad for me. So and I did not feel this when I was pregnant, but any smell just made me feel ill and did not make me want to eat anything. So often I would try and get things that were like cold, so they didn't have a smell. And I found myself kind of like forcing myself to eat a bit. So even though I didn't want to eat, I would just put it in front of myself and say, okay, you have to eat this, and try and eat it as quick as I could before kind of thinking about it. But that is slowly going away. Like I said, I'm now two weeks and a few days since my last chemo treatment, and I would say 80% better with kind of being able to tolerate most foods. Still sensitive with the smell, but I think that'll go away with time. And so now I'm just gearing up for my double mastectomy, which is in 20 days. I'm quite anxious about it. I will be doing reconstruction, so they will be putting expanders in, and then in a few months' time, I can determine if I want to do implants or do the fat transfer. I'm still 50-50 on how I'm going to do it. I think I'll decide after the surgery how I want to proceed with that. And I plan to make some videos when I go to Boston, leading up to the mastectomy, and then each day post mastectomy, how my healing is doing, and just sharing that with whoever finds that helpful. I hope you found this little video about my journey helpful, and I wish you all the best on your journey, whether you're just starting or in the middle of it, or you've wrapped up with your chemo and cancer treatment. Have a great day.